Every single dealer, every single GM, every owner that's here and back home, they're all being told the same thing, that they need to buy more technology. This technology is it's going to increase your volume. This technology is going to make things, run through the service drive faster. This technology is going to make your pictures better. But here's the thing, right? Your employees, whether they're sitting next to you or they're back at the dealership, they're all thinking the same thing. They feel less connected than ever to the store. They feel that maybe that you don't trust them, and that's the reason why we keep adding technology to this. They may not know how to work the different technology that's out nowadays. All right? Maybe they're scared to death of like the movies from the 80s, 90s where AI came to life. All right? So who knows what it is, but there is a trust issue with our stores. All right? I'm here to tell you that the future of our industry is not tech or trust in our employees. The future is tech with trust. All right, we've got to be able to blend the two together. All right, again, my name is Sam Cox. I'm with 800% Elite Automotive. I'm a leadership coach and sales coach. Before that, I was blessed to work 13 years at an auto group in a small town called Paris, Kentucky. So during those 13 years, I was able to take 2 different stores, starting as their general sales manager, to 800% growth levels. Right? We raised one store from selling 120 cars a month to averaging over 800 cars a month, hence the 800%. And another one where we went from 40, 50 cars a month when we bought the store, and we took that to selling over 400 cars, right, within a very short period of time. Just with the simple processes. Right? Our best month ever was 1,132 vehicles in March of 2018. A single point store, closed on Sundays. Right? But my biggest accomplishment, the thing that I hold near and dear to my heart, is during my time in automotive, I've been blessed to be a part of over 5 dozen different promotions, closing in on 6 dozen now, of young people, from helping them train, develop, and turn into managers, whether it's assistant manager, sales manager, finance manager, just around ranks, okay? So been able to change so many people's lives. Here's what we're going to talk about and learn today. All right, first one, emotional intelligence. I know it's something we talk about big time in the automotive industry, right? Where everybody always talks about emotional intelligence. Now, emotional intelligence, how we can actually use it to not only train and grow our teams, but also retain our teams, okay? AI and the different technology that's out there that we can use to simplify and make sure that we get in front of more people. We want to get in front of our people, get in front of them, okay? And a leadership rhythm that you can start using right away. You can start using as early as Monday to go ahead and put things back to normal. That's the current reality, right? That's the current reality. As an industry, we put ourselves into this mess, right? We started promoting managers before they were ready, all right? Before they knew how to lead, right? Now they're desk jockeys. Now they basically know how to work deals because they sold, so they know how to work deals, but they don't know how to lead their teams. They feel overwhelmed. Turnover, it's high. It's a lot higher than it's ever been. You are not in your stores to babysit. You're in your stores to build and to grow, not to babysit. Okay? Technology's all over the place, okay? And it keeps rising, but the human connection is starting to fall. Right? It's starting to fade while technology is rising. We no longer have conversations. You're going to hear that word a lot today. We no longer have conversations, and instead, we babysit instead of build. Okay? So we're going to find some ways to get away from that. We've got to find some ways to get back to where we're building. Right? And technology is one of those ways, but there's other ways too. All right, why does this session matter? Well, we have to figure out if we need to prioritize either technology or trust, or if we need to combine them. The best ways is actually to tie them together, combine the two of them into a way that we can actually lead and get back your stores. Okay? Why else does this matter? We didn't lose leadership in our stores because our managers didn't care. We lost the leadership in our stores because we started replacing conversations with databases, dashboards, and spreadsheets. We started trying to get too far into the numbers instead of actually having a conversation with somebody and allowing them to grow. Is that fair enough to say? I see some head shaking. I mean, that's what's going on right now. We got so tied up in closing percentages and show percentages and this type of thing, and we stopped actually having conversations with people to be able to allow them to be able to grow into human beings. We start treating everybody like a number instead of a human. All right, that's the moment that changed me. The moment when you start to realize, does it even matter? Or is it all just about numbers? Right? When you stop believing that what you're doing matters, then what's the sense of even being there? There's no sense anymore. Okay? And this isn't a performance issue, it's a leadership issue. When you stop believing, your staff stops believing in what you're doing. Right? You don't need a psychology degree to build trust. Right? But you do have to be able to have a conversation with people. You do have to make sure that they understand that you're there for them, not just for what they produce for you. And that's what we've gotten to in this industry, unfortunately, especially since COVID. Right? And you'll all agree with me, especially since COVID, when it was so easy. Anybody could sell a car during COVID, right? And then we took away, it became transactional instead of having building relationships. But the people I've been able to promote over the years, it's been because I've been able to build relationships with them and have conversations with them and not just judge them on a number. Let's start digging into some of this and how we're going to change this in the industry. Emotional intelligence is the foundation of leadership. Right? Believe that or not, most of us have never heard of it before, and I'll be truthful. The majority of my career, I had never heard of it. Right? I practiced a lot of this stuff. I didn't know what I was practicing. Daniel Goleman in the mid-90s, he created this leadership foundation. Right? And he actually stated during that time that he believed that EQ, or emotional intelligence, was more important to leadership than IQ was. So think about that for a second. But in context, obviously, you have to have some kind of IQ in order in order to even get to leadership. You've got to be able to grow, right? So that matters. But you can be the smartest person in the room and not be able to lead a team. And that happens all the time, especially in our industry, right? It doesn't take spreadsheets and stuff like that to be able to lead a team. It takes being able to have a conversation with people, right? Think of the things that are self-awareness, self-regulation. How many times are you in your stores and you got a customer in front of you or a salesperson in front of you and they just did something and they just ticked you off big time, and you have to regulate yourself and keep yourself under control so you don't blow up, right? Now, there was two versions of me. The old Sam, I blew up on you. I blew up on you. Right? I blew up on you in front of how many people, it didn't matter. I blew up on you. Today's generation, you can't do that with. Right? The new Sam, you have to actually be able to make sure that you're treating them the way that they want to be treated, with respect. Right? How would you want to be treated? You want to be treated with respect. Okay? So that's where emotional intelligence comes in. Motivation part of it. How about the fact that you're trying to motivate your team to produce on the 3rd of the month like they do on the 30th of the month? Well, that fact though. How many of us would die to have our teams that last week of the month, they're going all out, right? They're working, bell to bell, they're skipping their lunch, they're skipping everything. It doesn't happen on the 3rd of the month all the time, right? We try to find ways to encourage them. Now, the foundation of leadership over there, ask, recognize, celebrate, and support. Here's what I'm going to ask you guys to do is think about it like this. Most of us still do monthly one-on-ones, right? I'm going to argue in a few minutes to make sure that we talk to you about doing it weekly. But for now, let's talk about doing a monthly one-on-one with your team. No matter what department you're in, whether you're in parts, service, sales, it doesn't really matter. All right, you can do this. The first question is, we're going to ask them, How are you doing? Really, how are you doing? Right? Because as guys, especially for the guys in this room, if I look at you and say, how are you doing? You're gonna look back at me like, I'm good, I'm good. My wife just, left me, my dog just died. I'm good, I'm good. We're not gonna admit as guys that there's an issue. Right? We're just not gonna do it. That's why we pull into a room and we actually have a conversation with them and we try to see what's going on, how are they doing really. Why is this important? We're not going over numbers. During this, you're not bringing out numbers. There's a time and a place to go over the numbers, yeah. But not always. We're actually just having a conversation with them, okay? We're going to recognize not just their numbers, but we're going to recognize, anything that they've done, any behaviors, okay? We're going to celebrate those behaviors, right? It could be, and this is not pertaining to any kind of deals. This could be that they help a new hire with some paperwork, or they stayed late in the service drive to make sure a vehicle got there. Or maybe they helped us locate a customer's keys from the service department so that way they could have the vehicle, back. They didn't stay late for that. We're going to recognize this type of stuff, and then we're going to support it. We're going to show them that they're human beings and not numbers. That they're not just another number on a spreadsheet. That they're truthfully human beings. This right here is a monthly one-on-one that you should do. And like I said, I think weekly. Pick a day. It could be a Monday. It could be any day. And have it to where you actually do a weekly one-on-one with your teams. We're not going over any data at all. If there's a time for that, yeah. But for this particular instance, we're just having a conversation with you. Right? You can fit this into your schedule. Right? We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. You can fit this into your schedule. Now we're going to take it to the extreme here. All right? I know what you guys are thinking as I get ready to say this. I've got 800 things I need to do. I can't fit this in. You can. This is daily one-on-ones. Daily one-on-ones using the PACE system. All right? Accountability with heart. Production, activity, confidence, and empathy. Right? Gone are the days when our salespeople or any of our people honestly knew where they were at for the month because they were keeping track of themselves. Nowadays, they come to the manager and say, where am I, how many cards do I have out? What am I doing? What do the numbers look like? Used to, for anybody that's done this for a minute, we used to have this green book. It was like a big green flip book that we had, right? And we had to write down our things in there. I didn't have a CRM when I started. I had my own CRM. That was me. But it was a green flip book. I had to write things down in. It was not. Nowadays, we just jump into our CRM or go to our manager and they can print out our results. Okay, so again, this is not you showing them numbers. This is you asking them, hey, where are you at for a month? See what they say. Do you need a specific number? Absolutely not. Would it be better if they just told you something more like, well, I'm not where I want to be right now. Well, cool. If you're not where you want to be at right now, what kind of activity have you got going on? How's your social media posts? How's your conversations? I changed it when I coach salespeople. I no longer ask them how many contacts they have for the day. How many conversations do you have for the day? I want to go ahead and have it to where they're telling me how many people are getting back to them. Not phone calls. We can all make 100 phone calls in a day. Does that do anything for anybody? No, and half of our sales staff, they're faking those inputs. They're just running through real quick unless we inspect them. Okay? Now, here's the thing of this. Here's the part. Managers inspect the P and the A part. Right? I've got guys across the country, they couldn't put a note in their CRM for any kind of follow-up to save their lives. However, those same exact people, I guarantee you they can tell me where Johnny's at for the numbers for the month. They can tell me how many phone calls he has out based upon their CRM. They can put a note in their system. They know how to go find those numbers, the P and the A. And they completely ignore the C and the E part. Low confidence equals stalled deals. No empathy, it creates disengaged teams. Confidence is built on conversations, right? Aspirations. It's built on conversations. Accountability without empathy, without really caring about it, this creates fear in your stores. And empathy without accountability, it creates complete chaos, which is what a lot of dealers are going through right now. All right? So this is the emotional intelligence portion of it, okay? I'm telling you, not monthly one-on-ones, because that's the way we've always done things. I'm telling you, weekly one-on-ones. Find this, put it into your schedule for weekly one-on-ones, right? Plus daily conversations. You can call them one-on-ones if you want to, but you're having a daily conversation with everybody on your team. 5 minutes long. In fact, 5 minutes long, just to kind of get where they at. You may find out that you get down, hey, I'm not where I want to be. No, my activity is good. I'm doing this. But you may find out their confidence is shaking because the last 5 customers that they've talked to have all been for another person. Maybe their confidence is shaking. Maybe there could be a million things about their confidence. Okay? But without the confidence and the empathy, the other two don't mean anything. They truthfully don't. Right? Because what we're doing right now is we're promoting people that don't know how to lead, which means they don't know the bottom 2 here. And secondly, we're holding on to top performing salespeople that are cancers in our store because we're afraid to train anybody else. So the next step to be able to help you out here is this: AI. All right, who in here? Show of hands, right hand. Who uses AI right now? ChatGPT, Gemini. I see a few months ago, there was a lot less people. Okay, it's more and more. And truthfully, I'm the guy that a few years ago, when my guys were learning how to use AI to do like their social media posts, I'm the one told, don't do that. It's a fad. It's going away. Don't pay attention to that. Don't need to learn that. I don't need to learn that. You're good. Now I use it for everything. Okay, I use it for literally everything. Okay. But it saves time on repetitive tasks, right? It does not replace you as the leader. It works in ways of magic, right? Think about ways that we use it. AI as a coach. I have it set right here on my phone on the front screen so I can use ChatGPT Vocal and do a role play. Right? Maybe your salespeople don't want to do role plays. Maybe your managers don't put it in place anymore because they didn't want to do role plays. You can role play with ChatGPT. Go back and forth. Tell them the objection that you're dealing with, or a one-on-one issue that you're having, or anything else like that, and allow it to go ahead and role play with you. It's amazing what it will do, and it's all vocal. Okay, you don't have to read anything. It's all vocal. How about something like this? How about the meta classes? Right? We think of meta classes for ways of, social media. And yeah, honestly, it's the reason why I got it. But think of it like this: if you can role play with somebody and do a point of view role play where I can actually go back and forth with you on this and be able to now go back after it's done, because once this is done, once I'm done recording, it saves automatically to my phone. Now we can go back and we can watch this and really learn role play. All right? Because role playing is a lost art in our industry. It truthfully is. We'll admit that. It's a lost art in our industry. It used to be something we used to role play at least once a week inside of our store. Okay? We used to role play at least once a week inside of our store. Okay? But it's a lost art nowadays. So we have to find ways to do it. All right? And it doesn't take fancy tools. It doesn't take $400 classes. It can be as simple as a ChatGPT free vocal. Right? Because I've even tried it with people that use the free vocal. It's fine. Okay? It works that way too. How about AI as a trainer? Who in here couldn't use a maybe updated and better version of an onboarding for new hires? ChatGPT, Gemini, any of those, Perplexity, they can put those together for you like that. Or maybe a year's worth of training, right? Seconds. Myself and Glenn Lundy, who was my general manager, when I was at the Paris location, we used to sit and we would we'd sit for, hours to come up with 2 or 3 weeks worth of training topics. Now we can do that in 20 seconds. It's like that. But are we utilizing these tools? Or are we scared of them that they're going to take our job? You know, that's not the case. We're not taking our job. You still have to have the human connection, right? You still have to. It's getting better and better. And that's what scares people, is that it's getting better and better. How about AI as a communicator? Meeting notes, when you're talking about meetings, you're literally going back and forth. How about something like this, a plug device? All right, it's a wearable device that you wear. I can push the button down on it, and it will record my entire meeting for me, and it will save it into a transcript. Now, once that transcript's in there, I can use AI to generate a summary of the meeting, including any action items and mind maps and things like that you can have. How helpful is that, instead of us having to go back and just take notes and maybe forget something that was said during that meeting, right? Because what this does, what these do, what that does, is allows us to have conversations with people, which is something we're scared to death of. Think of today's generation. Today's generation, they don't want to pick up this phone and call nobody. They want to text you. They want to shoot you a text. You know, and that's because nobody wants to have conversations with people anymore, right? And that's what we've got to get back to. AI as an inspector. How about using AI to just go through your notes in your system, right? Your CRM. Have it help you. A lot of the CRMs nowadays, they have that, right? So think of ways you can use AI. All right, but here's the thing. AI provides clarity. EQ determines how you act on that. All right, so that's where the two come into play together, right? Tech is still the tool, or tech is the tool, you're still the leader. That's the thing we have to keep in mind about this, okay? It's only a tool. You are still the leader. All right, so how about a simple framework that we can start using? My day was set up between 8 and noon. I had to structure it out to work. I'll be completely honest with you. I was probably doing 99% more than what most managers were doing in that short period of time that they were doing the entire day. All right? Follow-up, one-on-ones, anything I needed to do to make sure that I was performing at a high level. And then from noon on, I could squeeze in, anything left, but I was mainly focused on getting my business at that point. All right, so it matters on how you structure. Freedom, all right, is about structure. Right? It's all about structure. So coming up with something, if you want to do daily themes, let's say Monday, I got in here Monday, goals and forecast alignment. Okay? Maybe Monday is your manager one-on-ones. Maybe on Monday is your manager one-on-ones. This is when you schedule all your managers. This is what we did. We had our managers, we would meet with them in a block of time on Mondays. How about Tuesday's your vendor day? You tell all your vendors, as crazy as it's going to sound, don't just pop in. This is your time. You can come in on Tuesdays. This is the day that I meet with my vendors. It's on Tuesday. Wednesday, a midweek pulse check. All right, maybe going back and looking. How's your team? How's your team? Well, what we're trying to do through all this, guys, if you haven't figured this out, we're blocking time out for leadership. All right? And I'm not a time blocker. I can't do that. I'm not that structured. But I can block out a little bit of time. I can block out a few hours. After that, no, I'm all over the place. I can't do that. So this provides some structure. With structure creates freedom. All right, the win the day system. With me, I finish all of my meetings, all of everything with a simple phrase, win the day. Right? Win the day can mean a million different things. Okay? Getting 1% better today. It could be winning the day for a salesperson. It could be selling one car today. That's what they teach them, is to sell one car per day that they work. It could be for a manager that they have a productive day. Okay? For a service guy, it could be a million things. You can phrase it however you want to, but winning the day is winning the day. All right? And this is a 3-tiered system allowing you to go ahead and take control of your time and allowing you to free up time to actually get in front of your people and have conversations with your people, all right? Allowing them to grow, allowing you to teach them how to grow, okay? Time block leadership moments. Listen, if it's not on your calendar, it's not a priority, all right? So if you want to go ahead and say that you're doing this, but you don't block out any kind of time or put it on a to-do list, Apple reminders for me, anything like that, you're not doing it. Okay? We're trying to free up as much time for you to continue to stay in front of your people. Using AI to simplify admin work. Okay? Basically, that means busy work, reporting. Notebook LM, just for instance. Perplexity. These things can take over your devices, and they can literally make it to where they are now doing your reporting for you. All right? You just have to get better with it. You just have to get better with it. All right? And it changes each and every day. They get better and better each and every day. I guarantee in the last couple of days, when you're not playing around and looking at it, I guarantee they've made some kind of change to it. All right? But it matters on how we actually are responding to it, or are we scared of it. All right? It's one of those things where we need to make sure that we are focused. And lead with clarity, consistency, and care. Right? Clarity provides your people with what is expected of them. All right? To be clear is to be kind. Consistency builds trust amongst your staff, right? If you're consistent, it's building the trust. And caring for them shows that they are more than just a number, that they're human beings, right? And that you're going to have conversations with them, and that you show that you actually care. I used to keep Kleenexes in my office, not because I got sick. I never got sick, to be honest with you. But because people would come in, they knew I had an open door policy, and they could come in. I would watch grown men bawl their eyes out to me, because that was the time for them to open it up. I was like their psychiatrist or something like that. I see head shaking. You guys know what I'm talking about, all right? But this goes back to days of having conversations with people. We stopped doing that. And we've got to get back to doing that in order to get all this back. Does that make sense to everybody? All right? It's a simple friggin' process. Conversations. All right? But it's something that we all lost. So your Monday morning, this is your homework. All right? Implement those EQ-based one-on-ones. You don't necessarily need more software. A lot of you in here need better software, but you don't need more software, right? What you need is to be able to get back to the habit of providing conversation, providing growth for your teams, being able to allow them to be able to grow with you and not against you. That makes sense. Right? Using AI tools to enhance, not replace your leadership. And this is simple. This is something you can take back to start Monday. This is simple for you guys, okay? And follow the daily rhythm built for your store. Because the things I'm telling you up here it was for stores that maybe are selling 3 and 4 times the amount of cars a year. And how does this work in my store when maybe I only sell 100 cars a month, or maybe I sell 1,000 cars a month? Well, you base it upon your store. But whether you sell 1,000 cars a month and have 45 salespeople, or you sell 100 cars a month and you have 8 salespeople, you can do everything we're discussing here. You can have daily one-on-ones. You can have weekly one-on-ones. You can grow your team. In closing, we'll say it like this. Lead your people like human beings, not numbers. Right? Use AI and technology like a professional and as a tool. Right? And let's never again confuse efficiency with leadership. Fair enough? All right. Thank you guys for your time today. And let's all be together. Almost exactly right on time. But we've got time now for any kind of questions anybody has about anything. If you have any questions, let's go ahead. And be on any topics that you want.
Hey Sam, I got a question.
Sure.
You mentioned earlier you weren't on board or wanted to get on board with the AI thing, but then something kind of changed for you. That seemed to be a pattern with you. You didn't want to get on board with the social media thing, and then it kind of changed for you. Even this emotional intelligence thing, as I've had many years working with you, so I get to know these things. But I'm curious, for the people in the room that have people on their teams that don't want to get on board with some of this stuff, or maybe they're the ones on their teams that don't want to get on board with some of these stuff, how do you get them going and get this transition started? Social media, using AI tools, those types of things.
Good question. For those of you, that's Glenn Lundy, president of 800%. He'll be speaking at 1:15 in the room right next, or right across from us. Okay, make sure you catch it. But he's right. Social media. I was the guy that while he's helping us build the store with social media, I'm the guy that wanted to just put my head down. I want to put deals together. All right. I was telling him, dude, let me work. I don't want to post videos. Let me work until we start seeing the growth. Okay. Again, I was the guy that on AI. I told you. Don't need to learn that. It's a fad. It's going away. Now look at it, right? But I started seeing the growth in it. So I'd say if you're that person, watch what's going on around you. And be self-aware of everything that's going around you. All right, going back to the emotional intelligence part. Be self-aware of everything that's going on around you because you'll recognize that you can pick up time not only in the store, but at home. Right? We're talking all about our industry and how to do this and that. That emotional intelligence thing can be used at your house too. Think about how much more time you can pick up with your kids, with your significant other, by being self-aware, by not taking home the problems from the store to home. You know? By motivating yourself to get up in the morning to go work out or do a race or a high rocks or anything else like that to get you going. Right? Think of ways that you can make it work. But I suggest you to go ahead and try it. You know? Try it, watch what happens, and you'll be actually amazed and shocked. Fair enough? Any other questions?
Yes, if you're like a CEO or president or whatever, you get 2 brands, let's say 8 stores. With which people, positions, do you have the one-to-ones?
Which positions what?
Which positions, which managers do you have the one-to-ones?
I think you need to manage from your teams, all right? Have them manage their teams, and then you manage the executives. Is that answering your question a little bit? You need to manage the executive staff of it, and it needs to go down. That's how you're able to do daily and weekly type sessions. If you were to try, as a CEO of multiple brands and this and that, if you were to try to have one-on-ones or any of that with everybody on your team, it's impossible. You can't. That is impossible. I will tell you that. Even for me, that's impossible. I will tell you, the more conversations that you can have by walking through the room of people that maybe aren't directly below you, but they feel special. You know, if you're the CEO and you actually walk by somebody, you know, and you have a conversation with them, they feel special. You just made their day, right? You just literally made their day. Think about it. They talk about like you see RF memes and you see articles all the time about the janitors. You know, how you should treat everyone, including the janitor, like you should treat, you know, the top executives. And if you treated everybody to that level, what does that do for your store? What does it do for your business? You know, just you grow. I used to watch, he's not here, he was trying to make it in here, but the owner of the company I worked for, I used to watch that man go out. When we're selling 800 cars a month, I used to watch him go out and shovel snow. You know, when we get these huge snowstorms, he was the first one out shoveling snow in Paris at the time. All right? I watched the man, you know, do all sorts of things that made him a servant leader. All right? So you need to find ways to actually just grow your team, but you grow them by having conversations. It's as simple as that. Just again, we've tried to overcomplicate things. We've tried to overcomplicate things. We've put people into executive positions that really maybe aren't people, if that makes sense. They're more spreadsheet people, and they didn't know how to actually have a conversation with somebody. That's unfortunately happened in our industry to a lot of stores. Not all stores, but a lot of stores. Any other questions?
Here back.
Who we got? Yes.
Yeah, sure. So I know AI is really a buzzword, right? You know, these days, especially when you think about ChatGPT and Perplexity, all fantastic tools. But do you know if the auto industry, and maybe someone in the room can answer this as well, if they're looking at moving more towards Agentics AI, where you're using it for predictive modeling, where you guys read a lot of reports and dashboards all the time, but receiving that data and then AI actually giving you ideas on why you may not be selling as many cars as you were last month. Could it be due to parts and distribution and things like that? I'm wondering just overall, is the auto industry looking to moving more towards agentic AI, which is used for predictive modeling?
I would, my answer to that, and anybody else can chime in, I don't know if the entire industry is moving to that, but I know that certain sections are. I've seen it more and more. We actually, within our group with 800%, our guy, our IT guy, he actually is playing around with like Perplexity and things like that, to where it'll take over the browser will take over everything and goes through and gives predictive this and that. We've used that with a lot of our dealers, yes. And the way that AI, I mean, you think of places like Auto Hauler Exchange, for instance. I think they're supposed to be here. They're using AI for like logistics and transport. You're no longer having to worry and pay these huge fees for logistics when you're buying a vehicle from, the auction. Auto Hauler Exchange is shopping the rate around and finding the cheapest one around by using AI and the logistics in order to get the vehicle to you, cheaper and faster. So to answer your question, yeah, we are using AI. Is it a popular trend right now? I think it's starting to move that way. But the problem comes in is that we kind of fall into the same boat that what I was just talking about. It's not the way things have always been done. And maybe we're a little bit scared of it too. Maybe we're scared of it. Whereas, honestly, if it could free up some time for you to be able to, do whatever, have a conversation, find another store to buy, anything else like that, why wouldn't we use it? Why wouldn't we use it unless we're really, honestly, truthfully believe it's going to come to life and take over the world? Unless it's that. A few more minutes here. Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
How can we navigate implementing emotional intelligence if we have executives that suggest a different leadership style?
Okay, repeat that again for me. We're coming up this way.
If they have executives that suggest a different leadership style, how can they implement emotional intelligence?
That's a good question, because obviously we don't want to, infuriate, anybody. But on the flip side of it, it's how are you leading? All right, how are you leading? When we were growing our first store in Paris, Kentucky, I will tell you that the managers that worked, with me, they didn't have the same philosophy as I did, as the way I handled my team. Of course, I had the top team every single month for years in a row because I ran them like this. But even the managers, or the owners, Glenn and I just told you that we argued. He was my general manager at that store. We argued over like differences. All right? You're going to have those differences. How you do it is that you take your team and you grow your team. You grow the people that you can grow, and you move from there. I like to say, control what you can control. You can't control everything, but you can control a lot. And honestly, once people start seeing the difference, it starts shaping things up. So I will tell you, by the end of my time there, every manager was doing exactly what I was doing because it's just the way it was. And that kind of became the way to lead. Answer your question? Cool, no problem. Any other questions? All right, cool. Again, thank you guys for coming out. Thank you very, very much for this. And like I said, let's go out and let's win the day. Thank you.